One that says, me watching her scream after I poured boiling water on her after she told a boy happy birthday because why you happy, he made it another year. Just weird stuff. That's super weird to repost, especially
when investigators found 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body chopped up in the trunk of a Tesla on September 8, 2025. They thought it was just another brutal murder case. But then they checked D4vd's TikTok, and what they uncovered was shocking. D4vd, real name David Anthony Burke, is a 20-year-old artist who rose to fame with viral hits like Romantic Homicide and Here With Me. The disturbing part is that he was posting content that was basically a digital confession to murder, and no one noticed until it was too late. This wasn't a typical rapper in trouble story. This was something far darker that shook the entire internet. Investigators originally thought it was a regular murder case, but when they went through his social media, they found a trail of clues hiding in plain sight that everyone had brushed off as dark humor. His TikTok reposts were practically a step-by-step outline of what he was planning. I've seen plenty of shocking stories, but this one made me question how young people use the internet because this wasn't just random edgy content, it was a public record of a killer's mindset. The first red flag detectives noticed was a repost of a man chopping raw chicken with the caption, "Me if I see her talk with other dudes." To most people, that might just seem toxic. But when you learn Celeste's body was dismembered, that post feels like a murder plan. It got even worse. He reposted the infamous American Psycho nail gun scene with the caption, "Me after hearing about her past with other boys. I'm jealous and utterly disgusted by her actions." He was literally using movie clips to show his violent thoughts, while everyone just scrolled past like it was normal. That same jealousy and disgust matched what investigators later discovered about his relationship with this underage girl. Even more disturbing, his feed was full of reposts about killing partners, dismemberment, mental health struggles, and fake funerals, as if he was building a guide to murder while people liked and shared it as entertainment. Some online users even said these posts fetishized murder, and that's exactly what they were. He was enjoying the fantasy before acting on it. To top it off, D4vd's TikTok profile picture was a bloody, blindfolded Hello Kitty. Now you might think that was just some edgy aesthetic choice, but here's the thing. Celeste was last seen wearing Hello Kitty sandals and carrying a Hello Kitty keychain, and she loved that character. So this wasn't just a random profile picture. This was him putting his victim's favorite character on his page like a twisted trophy. That is real predator behavior. It gets even darker when you realize he posted a video on February 7th, 2024 with the caption, "When your card declines at therapy and they bring in that one Hello Kitty girl you met in 2021. That wasn't just a meme. That was him admitting he met Celeste online years earlier, hiding the truth in plain sight like some sick game. What really had investigators furious was a cryptic "I miss her" repost he shared alongside violent memes. They believe he was talking about Celeste after she went missing, and instead of helping find her, he was posting about missing her while knowing exactly where she was, cut up in his trunk. That is next-level sociopathic behavior that would make Jeffrey Dahmer proud. And here's the shocking part. There's a rapper named David I barely knew about, but I actually spoke to him once. And now it blows my mind how he managed to build an entire career off the same emotions that drove him to murder. His song Romantic Homicide got billions of streams, and everyone thought it was just sad breakup music. But investigators now think it might have been a hidden confession. He was literally profiting off singing about his crimes. The investigation revealed that all those TikTok posts were from before they found the body. They were old videos, meaning he had been fantasizing about murder publicly for months, maybe years, before actually doing it. This wasn't a crime of passion or something done in the heat of the moment. This was premeditated violence documented like a diary. Online communities even started comparing his content to Jeffrey Dahmer's twisted behavior, and honestly, that's not an exaggeration. Just like Dahmer, he seemed to take pleasure not only in the violence but in the psychological game, dropping hints, leaving clues, and hiding his true nature while building his image as a sensitive indie artist. What makes it even more disturbing is how calculated all of it was. Every repost, every caption, every piece of content seemed carefully chosen to show his mental spiral toward violence. This wasn't random posting or edgy clout chasing. This was a step-by-step roadmap to murder. This was a detailed record of someone's descent into becoming a killer, all while gaining followers and building his brand. The case completely changed how law enforcement looks at social media evidence in murder investigations. D4vd's TikTok activity wasn't just background noise or character evidence. It was a literal roadmap showing his motives, his planning process, and his mental state leading up to Celeste's murder. Every repost was a clue, every caption a confession, and every shared clip another piece of the puzzle. Here's the truth behind the headlines. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was only 15 when her remains were found, but her connection to this predator started much earlier than anyone knew. Investigators uncovered a disturbing grooming process that began when she was just 11, with evidence spread across multiple platforms. The timeline showed how his violent fantasies slowly turned into a deadly reality, documenting the entire progression step by step.
So chat, there's a rapper named David that I didn't know that much about, but apparently I actually talked to the guy before.
Real talk, Celeste was remembered by her family as a beloved daughter, sister, cousin, and friend. A young girl who loved Hello Kitty and had her whole future ahead of her. She was small, weighing around 71 pounds with wavy black hair, and was last seen wearing a tube top, black leggings, a yellow metal chain bracelet, and stud earrings. But these details don't capture the real tragedy: how a vulnerable young girl became the target of a predator who was documenting his behavior online like it was entertainment. The timeline of Celeste's situation with D4vd becomes even more disturbing when compared to his social media activity. Reports suggest they may have first connected online as early as 2021, when Celeste was just 11 years old. So while this guy was building his music career and presenting himself as a deep and emotional artist, he was secretly grooming a child behind the scenes, a process that would eventually lead to her murder. Celeste went missing in April 2024 at age 13, and her family reported her disappearance to the Riverside County Sheriff's Office. But it wasn't treated as the emergency it should have been, partly because she had run away from home multiple times before. Investigators now believe those runaway incidents were connected to her situation with D4vd, and because of that history, crucial chances to save her were missed. What makes this even more heartbreaking is the evidence showing that Celeste's family knew she was secretly involved with someone named David. Her mother admitted Celeste had been in contact with him, and a former teacher confirmed she met him online through social media. The fact that her family and teachers knew about this relationship but still couldn't stop what happened shows how difficult it is to protect kids in today's digital world.
It was the body of a young girl named Celeste who would have just turned 15 years old.
Okay, so another thing that's kind of confusing me about this whole thing, I got some Casamigos. Nothing that's confusing me about this whole thing. She was last seen on April 5th.
The physical evidence linking D4vd to Celeste was as disturbing as it was undeniable. Both had matching ish tattoos on their right index fingers, with Celeste's done in red ink. This wasn't just a coincidence. It felt like a mark of ownership, as if this predator was literally branding his victim. The medical examiner confirmed the tattoo detail, and Celeste's family verified it as information police hadn't released to the public. But the digital evidence was even more chilling. Screenshots from D4vd's Discord server from 2022, when Celeste was just 11 or 12, showed interactions between them that were far from innocent fan chats. They revealed a years-long grooming process where D4vd slowly gained her trust and isolated her from anyone who might protect her. Investigators also found an unreleased track titled Celeste Demo Unfin from December 2023, which referenced Celeste with disturbingly intimate lyrics, including lines about tattoos and obsession. This song became a haunting soundtrack to D4vd's mental state in the months leading up to her murder. Those lyrics weren't just artistic expression. They were a confession put to music. When Celeste's body was discovered, it was as tragic as it was revealing. On September 8, 2025, workers at a Hollywood tow impound lot reported a foul smell coming from an abandoned Tesla. When LAPD investigated, they found Celeste's decomposed remains stuffed in a bag inside the front trunk. The car was registered to D4vd, but he hadn't been driving it recently since he was on tour outside Los Angeles. The condition of her body told a horrifying story. Reports confirmed dismemberment, exactly matching the violent fantasies D4vd had shared online for years. Her body had been decomposing for months, suggesting she was murdered right around the time D4vd started his tour, allowing him to maintain his public image while knowing her body was left to rot in his car.
18-year-old Celeste Rivas as the person who was found dead at a Hollywood tow yard in early September in the trunk of singer David's Tesla. The medical examiner is still trying to determine the cause of her.
What investigators found most disturbing was how carefully planned the entire crime was. The Tesla had been abandoned in the Hollywood Hills, just a block and a half from where D4vd was staying, which clearly wasn't random. Parking it that close allowed him to keep tabs on the situation while still having plausible deniability about his involvement. The car sat there for nearly 5 days before it was towed, and during that entire time, D4vd kept touring and posting on social media like nothing had happened. The digital evidence made it clear how much he had been planning and fantasizing about violence against Celeste. Online speculation about his motives has included jealousy, pregnancy scares, or fear of career damage from being linked to a minor. But the social media trail suggests something even darker: that D4vd got pleasure from psychologically torturing and ultimately murdering someone he had groomed for years. Photos and live streams from October 2023 show D4vd with a girl who looks like Celeste at a Los Angeles event, proving their connection wasn't just online. These public appearances, combined with the private Discord conversations, paint the picture of someone openly flaunting his relationship with a minor while simultaneously documenting his violent fantasies for the world to see. Investigators also found a Reddit comment posted 8 days before Celeste's identity was made public, mentioning a missing girl from Lake Elsinore connected to D4vd. This suggests that people in his circle knew about his involvement in Celeste's disappearance long before law enforcement confirmed it, raising serious questions about why no one came forward sooner.
Brother told NBC News that he was aware that his sister knew the singer David. Matthew Rivas said when she went missing, she was on her way to see a movie with him, but never returned.
The timeline becomes even more disturbing when you factor in D4vd's touring schedule. He managed to maintain his public persona, performing for fans while knowing Celeste's body was decomposing in his car. This level of compartmentalization points to a deeply antisocial personality, capable of extreme deception and emotional detachment. Celeste's family has been devastated, with her mother confirming details about the tattoo that police hadn't released to the public. A GoFundMe campaign was created to help with burial costs, adding to the pain of a family forced to crowdfund their daughter's funeral while processing the horrific details of her murder. What makes this case especially tragic is how many red flags were ignored. Celeste's brother reportedly told police about her relationship with D4vd, but the report was dismissed due to a lack of evidence. This systemic failure to protect a vulnerable child, combined with D4vd's ability to hide behind a carefully crafted public image, allowed a preventable tragedy to happen. The digital evidence shows this wasn't an impulsive act or a crime of passion. It was a calculated murder committed by someone who had been fantasizing about violence for years, documenting those fantasies online and using his growing fame to access and groom vulnerable young fans. Social media ultimately became the smoking gun. Connecting D4vd's TikTok activity to Celeste's murder didn't happen overnight. It required a new approach to digital forensics that treated social media not as background noise but as a goldmine of evidence revealing a killer's mindset, planning process, and psychological evolution toward violence. On September 18, 2025, LAPD executed a search warrant at a Hollywood Hills house where D4vd had been staying, marking a major turning point in the investigation. The search focused on potential blood evidence, with investigators checking drains for traces of blood or tissue. Several items were seized for forensic analysis, but the most damning evidence came from the digital investigation. Analysis of D4vd's social media revealed that his TikTok reposts and captions were not random dark humor but a systematic documentation of violent fantasies that matched the details of Celeste's murder with chilling accuracy.
All of this, a song leaked that I can't confirm if it's real, but it's called Celeste. Apparently, David wrote it in 2023, and the lyrics are kind of crazy.
The Tesla itself became one of the most critical pieces of evidence in ways D4vd clearly never anticipated. Modern Teslas are basically computers on wheels, recording detailed data about their usage, location history, and even internal camera footage. If Teslas have helped solve other high-profile cases, then using his own car in connection with Celeste's murder was likely the most catastrophic mistake D4vd could have made. The social media analysis revealed disturbing patterns that were impossible to ignore. One repost showed a man chopping raw chicken with the caption, "Me if I see her talk with other dudes," which became chillingly significant when compared to the discovery of Celeste's dismembered remains. This wasn't coincidence, it was proof of premeditation, showing that D4vd had been fantasizing about dismembering Celeste out of jealousy. Another repost from American Psycho, with a caption about jealousy and disgust, gave investigators insight into his mindset, suggesting D4vd saw Celeste not as a victim, but as someone who had betrayed him and deserved punishment. This victim-blaming mentality is common among violent offenders who justify extreme acts through twisted logic. Perhaps most chilling was the realization that D4vd's Hello Kitty-themed profile picture and posts weren't just an aesthetic choice, but trophies symbolizing his relationship with Celeste. A February 7, 2024, video with the caption, "About that one Hello Kitty girl you met in 2021," was not a random meme. It was a public reference to his grooming of Celeste, hidden in plain sight. The investigation also revealed how extensively D4vd manipulated those around him. Reports suggest he even paid other young people in his Discord server to stay quiet about his relationship with Celeste, creating a network of complicity that kept him from being caught for years. This level of planning and control proved this was not a spontaneous act, but a meticulously planned crime fueled by manipulation and obsession.
Why the hell would you go in Elon's on-road spaceship that records everything and go do a crime and then leave the body in the trunk? It probably got you chopping her up. It probably got all type of...
The professional fallout for D4vd has been immediate and devastating. His record label, Intercope, quickly paused promotions for the deluxe version of his album Withered. While major industry players like Universal Music Group, Sony Music Publishing, and Wasserman halted all activities with him. Sponsors including Crocs and Hollister pulled campaign content featuring D4vd, and he canceled his entire US and world tour. The timing of his social media posts has also taken on a chilling new meaning. Fans noticed that his last Instagram post promoting the deluxe version of his album went up on September 7th, Celeste's 15th birthday. Her body was discovered the very next day. This timing feels far too deliberate to be a coincidence, and suggests that D4vd may have been marking her birthday while knowing her remains were decomposing in his car. The public reaction has been one of shock and outrage. Conversations across X, Reddit, and TikTok have exploded with users compiling evidence threads, sharing theories, and expressing disgust. Many former fans say they can no longer listen to his music, while others have compared D4vd's lyrics and online behavior to the disturbing patterns seen in infamous serial killers.
Mom of the victim knew that she was dating someone named David. Did she not know his age? And I'm not blaming her specifically, but it seems like the people around her knew a bit about it, like the guy from the Reddit post who apparently knew that she ran off.
This case is especially significant because it shows how crime is evolving in the digital age. In the past, investigations relied on physical evidence, witnesses, and standard profiling. But the D4vd case proves that social media can function as a real-time confession. Criminals today often post their thoughts, fantasies, and even evidence of their actions for the world to see, sometimes without realizing how incriminating it is. It also highlights the huge challenge of keeping kids safe online. People close to Celeste, including family members and teachers, had raised concerns about D4vd's relationship with her. Yet the systems meant to protect her failed completely. This case will likely push for new rules on how to handle reports of inappropriate relationships between adults and minors, especially when those adults have public platforms and influence. Celeste's official cause of death is still pending further forensic tests, but the circumstantial evidence is overwhelming. The matching tattoos, private messages, leaked photos and videos, an unreleased song referencing her by name, and D4vd's own disturbing social media posts paint a clear picture of premeditation. While he hasn't been formally charged yet, he is cooperating with investigators through his representatives, and the case remains active with no set timeline for resolution. Ironically, D4vd built his career by connecting with young fans through social media, the same platforms he later used to hint at, romanticize, and practically confess to his crimes. His hit song Romantic Homicide once seemed like a metaphor for heartbreak, but in light of what's been uncovered, it now sounds eerily like a confession. Celeste's family is still seeking justice. A GoFundMe is helping cover her funeral costs,